Hi guys, it's me, Chris, back again, and with the books I read in May. You may know that I went away in May to house sit for my daughter while she went to Thailand, looking after her cats, and I found several books in the op shops, in varying op shops. I went through that in my op shop hauls of which books I bought where, and I chose three to read in May. I've started a few and realised I wasn't going to enjoy them, so I redonated those books. I can't remember the names of them yet. There were several that I had purchased, tried to read them, found out that I wasn't going to enjoy them, and that's the lot. And that's how it happens sometimes when you purchase books. Luckily, I purchased them through op shops, so they're only a couple of dollars each. I feel a bit not comfortable when I buy books in mainstream bookshops because they can be up to anything about $30 for a book. Even Kmart books and Big W books are about $16. So when you pay that much for a book, you want to be able to read it. But luckily, I bought these ones for a couple of dollars each. So if I didn't like them, it wouldn't matter so much, and I could always redonate them. So these are the books that I did choose to read and liked. So I'm sharing those with you today, and see what happens. Now this book is an Australian author. It's an advanced copy, so they're not supposed to be resold. They're supposed to be, I don't know what they do with them. They're given to somebody to review, and I don't know what they're supposed to do with them, but sometimes they end up in op shops, which is good for me. And it was in June 2021, so it's a reasonably recent publishing date. So Pamela Hart, Digging Up Dirt, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a quick read. It wasn't bogged down, but I don't read books all in one go. I read a few pages, read a few chapters, and then put it down and try again another day. But so renovations are hell, and that's before you find the body beneath the floorboards. So yes, this is I quite enjoyed it. So when your builder finds bones under the floor of your heritage home, what do you do? For TV researcher Peggy McGowan, the first step is to find out if the bones are human, which means calling in the cops and delaying her renovations. So whether or not she finds these bones, her builder finds the bones, she doesn't know whether they're human or animal, so she calls in the cops and calls in some experts to find out about what they are. So unfortunately, help comes in the form of Dr. Julianne Weaver, archaeologist, political hopeful, and Poppy's old enemy. She declares the bones evidence of a rare breed of fat-tailed sheep and slaps a heritage order on the site. The resulting archaeological dig introduces Poppy to Tol Lang, the best-looking archaeologist she's ever met, and also Julianne's boyfriend. So when Julianne is found murdered in Poppy's house, well, then the story really begins, and it was really interesting. It says it's black humour, but it's not really. So a clever, blackly funny murder mystery of our times, a rollicking good read. Well, I wouldn't say it was black humour, dark humour, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's racist or what, but that's what it's called, isn't it? Black humour. There was respect for the dead body, for Julianne, and some people were making fun of her because a lot of people didn't like her, so that came through it all. But overall, there was respect for her still, so I don't know. And Poppy said straight from the beginning that she was not a friend of Julianne's, that they didn't get along together, and she tries to find out who actually killed her, and to keep. But underneath that, I guess, was the motive to stop the what do you call it? Stop the order to lift the order so she could start renovating again. So I suppose that's, I don't know, a bit black, I guess. But it was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. Let's say it was a very quick read. It was fast. Wasn't too much writing. Wasn't too many words, if you know what I mean. So it went pretty quickly. Wasn't too much describing, which I don't find more that interesting. Not too much conversation, but enough to get the story across. And it was fast read, so that was quite good. Digging up dirt. The second book I read was Pale as the Dead with Fiona Mountain. This is Fiona's first novel, Isabella, which I haven't found yet. I might try and see if I can find that. Natasha Blake is a ancestor detective. She works out through DNA, through genealogy, family trees to trace the history of somebody, which is an interesting job, isn't it? I'd like to be able to do something like that. But oh my God, family trees are so difficult, and I've had part of my family tree done, and the book that has come out of that is about 300 pages, and it took a long time and a lot of effort from some of my cousins to do that. So it's not the easiest thing to do, but Natasha tries to do that, and there's a disappearance of a young girl, Bethany, appears to be linked to some way to Lizzie Siddell, the haunting ethereal pre-Raphaelite model and artist, wife of painter Dante Gabriel Rossetti. And this girl, Bethany, seems to be attached to Lizzie Siddell somehow or another, and she goes missing. So her boyfriend asks Natasha to find her in reverse genealogy, whereas trying to go back in the past to find recent relatives that Bethany may have run to when she ran away from her boyfriend, and solve the mystery that way. And I enjoyed it. You learn a lot about Natasha through this story. I think you find more about Natasha than you do about Bethany, but it was all very interesting. The second book, I don't know what it is or when it's coming through. This one was printed in 2002. 2002. But I don't know if there's more. I might have to look her up and see if I can reserve some from the library. But it's quite an interesting book. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a quick read as well. Wasn't any too stumbling in here. I was quite happy to read through every single word, not skip any pages, and finish the book in May. So it's another one, Pale as the Dead by Fiona Mountain. So that was quite good. And I would recommend that one if you wanted to read that book. Yeah. The next book I read was Mary Higgins Clark, one of my favourite authors. I got a lot of her books. Some I don't like and some I started but just could not get into. But this one was not too bad. If someone stole your identity, could they steal your life? So 2 years after the day that her son Matthew was kidnapped in broad daylight in Central Park, Alexandra Morland still finds herself torn between hope and despair. No trace of Matthew was ever discovered. She found it impossible to give him up for dead, but now, on what would have been Matthew's 5th birthday, photos surfaced that seemed to show Alexandra kidnapping her own child. I don't normally like books regarding anything to do with children, child crime or anything else like that. And Mary Higgins Clark has written books about child kidnapping and things. Two Little Girls in Blue is another one that she's written about childhood kidnappings, and All Around the Town. She's written about that as well. I haven't read those two yet, so I'll reserve judgment on those. But she did write Where Are the Children, which was a bit harsh, especially when you came to the ending, finding out who done it, as it were. But this one I quite enjoyed this one actually, and found it interesting. I found it less tied to the kidnapping. You did get some of Matthew's experiences written into the book, but it wasn't harsh and it wasn't scary and it wasn't stomach churning or anything else like that. But it was quite good actually. So I enjoyed this one, and it was a quick read, as with most of Mary Higgins Clark's books. They're quick, they're light, well, sort of light, you know what I mean. The topic may not have been light, but the story flowed well, and because she has the perspective of several people written into the book, so it's not just one person, but it flowed well. It wasn't too jumpy, and yeah, so I enjoyed that one. So that's another one I finished in May. So that was my May reading. I want to go through this deck with you a bit later on too, which I'll do a research on. It's not a book, of course, but it's a tarot deck, but the Doodle Tarot. I want to do a walkthrough on this one. Mixed feelings about this one, guys. Mixed feelings indeed. So I'm actually not sure what to do with it. It cost me a fair bit of money. It's an original, but now you can get it through AliExpress, and so there are fake copies of it out there, but this one was an original, and so it's really hard to sell because there's so many fake representations of it. So but that's an original, it's a real one, so I'm going to go through that one later on for you. Now I've got another 2 more books to finish, so I will do those later when I finish them. One I've started in April but left home, so I'm finishing it now, and another one that I started in May, but I'm going to be finishing it now, so I'll go through those with you in the end of June. So thank you guys, and until next time, so many blessings.